Howdy. So today I'm going to do a quick video. We're going to talk about a couple things. The main thing I want to talk about is there's been a lot of questions that I'm getting about leaves. Should I pick up the leaves on my lawn? Should I shred them? Should I mulch them? What should I do with them? And then I'll also talk about winterizing, things that you need to think about because we got a weather change coming up, so hold on. Hey guys, Doc. Don't forget in the description anything I'm talking about. If there's a product I'm talking about, I'll link to it on the page below. Don't forget to sign up for our email list because we're going to be doing some fun stuff with that. On that page, you can sign up for the email list and the lawn guides. Don't forget the lawn guides. The lawn guides, there's a link to all the lawn guides with free calendars and everything on that page below. I want to pull up my 10-day forecast. For the past 2 weeks, we've been working out of the farm and on the farm project. Man, every afternoon we're just sweating our butts off. It is hot out there. And then all of a sudden, here I go. Here are the lows for the next 10 days. 41, 32, 26, 29, 32, 25, 24, 28, 40. Man, we went from summer or early fall straight into winter. So I'm kind of freaking out. I've got a deep well out there. I got a shallow well out there. We're building pump houses as quick as we can. We're trying to get them insulated. I'm putting, even if I have to throw sleeping bags over my well pumps, we're getting something over them. My irrigation system. Now, I had installed in my irrigation system a main drain on the back line over here. So I have shut off my irrigation. I've opened up my drain valve, opened up all my hoses, gotten water out of my hoses. Just the little things that you need to do. So think about that. My pool, don't forget your pool. Make sure your freeze warning. If you have a pool, make sure that your freeze sensor is working and it turns the pool on automatically. Anyways, let's talk about leaves. I'll take you out to the farmhouse. I went out there Sunday and I was cutting. I decided to mulch the leaves. But here's the answer to the question about should I leave leaves on the ground. A little bit of mulch leaves is fine, but there has to be two things. Number one, you have to be mulching the leaf. So in other words, if you have a mulching mower and your leaves are larger to the point where they're actually getting mulched up, that's fine. You can put a little bit. It's organic matter. It really doesn't have a lot of nutritional value inside of it because the carbon, I'll talk about the carbon ratio here in a second. But what you're doing is you're adding organic matter to the soil basically. The problem that we have is we have some trees with real small leaves. And when you have those small leaves, they don't mulch and they just sort of pile up and they can actually compress. So especially you cool season guys, you got to be careful. If you have trees that have small leaves, you're almost better to pick those up. If you have the large leaves that are going to be chopped up fine into a sort of a powder, that's fine to leave on. Also, don't leave an excess on there. So let's talk about leaves and what they do. If you do research on wood chips, you'll understand that you shouldn't be putting wood chips into your soil directly. And why is that? It's because the carbon to nitrogen ratio. If you want something to decompose, it should have some nitrogen within it. Or the carbon to nitrogen ratio should be like 24 to 1. Well, wood and leaves can be as high as an 80 to 1 ratio. So 80% carbon, 80 carbon, and 1 nitrogen. What happens? Well, it's still organic matter. It's not pure carbon. It's organic matter that has to be broken down. And for it to be broken down, soil microbes have to do their job. And what does soil microbes need to do that, to break it down? Soil microbes need nutrition. They need nitrogen. So they're going to pull nitrogen from your soil to actually do the decomposition process on dead leaves and wood chips. So it's not necessarily a good idea just to put dead leaves or wood chips directly into the soil because you can actually have some nitrogen deficiency come up. A little bit on the soil, on top of the soil is fine. Shred it up, leave it there, no problem. But again, if you have those small leaves that start to create these matting zones, and I'll show you on mine, you don't want to leave them. The other leaf you don't want to leave, pecan trees and walnut trees. If you have a pecan or walnut tree, pick those leaves up. And why is that? It's because they contain, I forget what it is, there's some kind of chemical within them that almost acts like a growth inhibitor for plants. So as those things fall, it actually stops the growth of some plants. So you don't want to put pecan or walnut leaves into any kind of mulch any kind of compost or any kind of soil. You want to pick up those leaves and get rid of them. Anyways, that's about it. Get ready. We got some cold temperatures moving in. The only thing I'm doing this year right now is I'll be putting carbon. I'll be putting humichar down at the farmhouse. And then we're doing some stuff on the back fields. I'll show you that coming up. That's it. So let's go cut some grass. So one question I think I'm probably going to get about this discussion, I'll break in here, is why are you putting down humichar if it's pure carbon? And the answer to that is when you put down biochar, humichar, when you put down biochar, humichar, you're putting down pure carbonized, skeletonized carbon. It doesn't need to be broken down. There's no process to break it down. So when you put pure carbon down, it's completely different than putting something down that has to go through a decomposition process like wood or leaves. So that's just a note. Someone's going to ask, I know. They're going to say, well, if a high carbon to nitrogen ratio is bad, why are you putting straight carbon down on your lawn? It's because skeletonized carbon, pure biochar carbon, can't be broken down anymore. It just exists. That's why we put it down. Howdy. It's Sunday. I actually came out here this morning and was out deer hunting, and it got cold. It had to be probably down to 35 degrees. So I looked around and I was like, holy cow, this backyard needs to be cut. So this is the farmhouse backyard that we have planted in a mix of fescue and annual ryegrass. It's like 6 inches tall. I was like, dude, I got to come back out here and cut this. I got a few other things to do, but man, I'll tell you what. You know, we struggled with this backyard for a long time, and then we finally came in and had David rototill it. And then I've been pumping down PGF Complete and humichar back here, and man, it's exploding now. So we're having to cut this 2 or 3 times a week. That's how well this stuff is doing. So for right now, I'm just using my Ego battery powered over here because we never took it down the beach. So last time I used this, I actually had Ryan bag the clippings because there were just a ton of leaves here, but I might be able to get by with just mulching. It's just a little bit of leaves. Leaving your leaves on the ground, that's a common debate. And what we have experienced is a small amount of leaves, as long as they're mulched up nicely, can benefit the soil. However, if you have leaves that are not mulching, like as an example, we have a lot of these small leaves out here. They're not mulching, and they're not good to leave on the ground. If you can mulch, if you have bigger leaves that are being mulched and turned into that fine mulch, good. If you have smaller leaves that are just passing through your mower and settling back down, you can actually have some issues with bad bacteria, bad mold, and bad fungus. So again, mulching leaves is a good way to go, but make sure they're being mulched. If they're not being mulched, then once they start to get heavy, you got to pick them up. So today I'm just going to cut. The pond berm is turning green, thank goodness. We're going to get in the 20s. I can't believe it. We're going to get in the 20s this week. I think I'm going to try and mulch this and see what happens. I wanted to come back out here. And I wanted to come out here later. It's like 12:31, and let all the water dry off this grass first. Then I'll be able to mulch it. Normally when we're cutting it earlier. There's a little bit of dew on it. So. Oh, now I'm nice and warm. So this lawn, what we're trying to do with this lawn is increase the CEC, the cation exchange capacity. Very, very white, red clay soil. So we're dumping down carbon with humichar. In the summertime, we put out dirt booster, and we're feeding it with PGF Complete right now. The goal here is get roots in the ground and create a living soil so that next year when we decide what to put here, because unfortunately, we've got quite a bit of shade from all these trees over here. I have to decide. Someone keeps saying zoysia, but I'll have to find a shade-tolerant zoysia if I do that. I don't think Bermuda will do well because of all the shade. I don't know. It looks great, though. I mean, that really looks good. We do need to get a gas lawnmower out here. Brian hates this Ego. I've got a small battery, which is what, the 5 amp, and then I got a large battery, which is the like 7 amp hour. And those two batteries just cut this back, which is about, what, maybe 4,000, 5,000 square feet. And so he's always worried that he's going to lose power. He's like, dude, I'm going to go and buy you a cheap gas-powered lawnmower. Because he's always worried. I will say that Egos are good, and I like it. But, man, there's nothing like that power of a gas. I wish I may go down. No, I've got a real nice Honda down at the beach house. And the only thing I use that for is just one strip around the edge and then the backyard. I may have Ryan. Ryan's going to run down there in a couple weeks. I may bring that Honda back up here for this. It's getting cloudy. It's going to be cold. It feels like winter. It'll be interesting to watch and see how that winter rye mix with the fescue tolerates these temperatures. We're going to get down to 26, maybe even lower. It'll be interesting to see how that tolerates. It'll also be, watch this. This thing's going to go solid brown. It'll also be interesting to watch the green. So the putting green is actually a dwarf bent cool season. And I'm sure temperatures in the 20s is going to set that thing back pretty bad. But anyways, remember, this is a good time, especially if you guys have got temperatures. You know, you can deal with 30s, but when you start to touch in the 20s, that's when you need to think about your hoses that are outside, your irrigation system, if you got a pool, all that kind of stuff. So get ready. It's coming. I'll talk to you later. Doc.